clearly right now the way the system is set up, it's not working well. We've talked about it. I think it's largely due to turnover. As we went through the pandemic, I think we've lost a lot of talent at these companies. But so clearly we're having a breakdown in the manufacturing process, and I think the FAA is here to regulate, and I think this is something that puts the long-term health of the U.S. aerospace business at risk, and they're here to help protect that, right? And so putting them down in the line, I think, is a positive. It may slow things down, but I think for a good reason, so that you get quality through there, and folks can trust the products coming out of Boeing and other U.S. aerospace suppliers.
Why weren't FAA regulators already there and have a physical presence?
Well, so, I think they were largely handling things from an audit standpoint, right? Reviewing processes and certification. I think that they've been stretched thin through the pandemic as well. They haven't had enough, workers as well, a lot of turnover. And I think also, I think this business was a simpler business if you go back 20 or 30 years ago. I know that's a long way to go, especially when I'm talking to people in financial markets. Yeah. But if you go back 20, 30 years ago, the supply chains didn't stretch as far. They were a lot more domestically focused, a lot more vertically integrated, and that's been changed dramatically over the last number of years. And I think Boeing got on the cutting edge of that when they built the 787, and I think that's created some challenges here. And now I think the regulator as well as the manufacturer has to figure out how they can manage such a far-flung supply chain and make sure quality comes through on the line. So I think the world's a little bit different, and that's one of the reasons why it's changing.
What's that mean for the economics of Boeing? There's a school of thought out there that maybe 10, 20 years ago they kind of maybe made the choice to focus a little bit more on shareholders than maybe on the engineering of the company, engineering pedigree, and that's arguably worked out well for shareholders. Is there a sense that they maybe went too far and might have to kind of retrench a little bit?
I think there is a sense that they went too far, right? I remember going to meetings with the old CEO McNerney and even Muhlenberg a couple CEOs ago, and they'd get into the meeting with the analysts and talk about how they had a cash generating machine, and I think that's really great, But at the end of the day, these are engineering businesses and manufacturing businesses, and I think they've got to look again at investing in the people that build these aircraft. It's not like an auto plant where you have a lot of capital equipment in there. You've got robotics, you've got jigs and everything like that will really help support workers that maybe aren't as trained as an aerospace worker. Aerospace has a lot less of that. The volumes are lower. The work is a lot more. It can be complex. It can be very specific. So much so that you can't get a capital tool on it or a machine on it. And so you really need a seasoned workforce there, a well-trained workforce. And I think that's where they need to be, right? They need to get reinvested back in that workforce and in that process.
I have a really dumb question, so excuse the dumb question. Why is it so hard? I understand that building big things that carry people is difficult, but doing it well shouldn't be hard for a Boeing and an Airbus. They're the only two guys who do it. So where have they gone so wrong that they have to sort of drill down this much?
Well, I guess I would say it's so hard because the tolerances are so tight, right? Meaning you can't make a mistake in this business, right? You and I go to work, I can make a problem in a spreadsheet. It's okay, I'll probably figure it out in a couple hours or something like that. You can make a bad car, and when it breaks down, you pull it to the side of the road and you get the tow truck. It's not the end of the day. This is a zero tolerance for defects business, and that means every little miss is noticed, and that's why I think it's so hard.
Fair enough.
Is Boeing, are they taking new orders now? How is it day to day for them? Are they still
their backlog's still huge?
Selling
I
stuff,
think,
yeah.
Right?
They're absolutely open for business taking orders. I haven't seen many orders flow through lately. I have heard some customers like Ryanair that are always looking for a good deal say that if anybody doesn't want their airplanes, they're willing to take them. But on the sales side, absolutely, I think they're open for business. And on the manufacturing side, that's the challenge here too, is they're not going to shut it down. Mm-hmm. They're building at a 38 rate. They've got to do that as well as possible while improving it. And then, we're going to wait and see what the FAA, what changes the FAA may want as they get involved here. But they're still running the business while they try to make these improvements.
Because, for an airliner, for example, like you put in orders and it's like years in advance, right? So like they kind of have to stay in the queue. But if the deliveries are pushed out, what airlines have enough of like old planes that they can still do the stuff?
So the global airline fleet, like I could take the next couple hours to talk you through it, but
You got like 90 seconds?
there's a lot of them that have older fleet that can rely on it. Right now, there's been no change to Boeing's build strategy. They're building at the 38 that they broke to at the end of last year, and if this FAA, analysis takes longer than 6 months, maybe we get into a situation where Boeing can't go to the next build rate that they had projected as they told customers they could have airplanes. I could tell you that there's a lot of folks, a lot of airlines in the world that expected airplanes, even from Airbus, at certain dates, that are having to push some of those out and make make provisions with either lessors or using older fleets so that they can cover the schedule they want to fly. So this is not just a Boeing issue; it's sort of managing not having airplanes ready.